Boom. Yes. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. So got it. Okay. Perfect. Right. So welcome everybody to LinkedIn for Breakfast. Today, my pedigree frums, we're going to be talking about your all-star LinkedIn profile. Actually, it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers back in the day. Give me some hands up if you remember that there used to be a rating that you could do, which would give you an all-star profile. Does anyone remember that on LinkedIn? You used to have to fill in a load of dots and be able to put it. Yes, I've got a few people put their hands up. Yeah. And so that's the concept around it. Now, LinkedIn would always be able to rate you on what your profile was in terms of how complete it was, how many things you put into it. But they've given us even more data for us to play with. And it's free to be able to play with it. So let's jump into this and I'll unpick this as we go. So just before we start, just remember that this is LinkedIn for Breakfast. And what our mission here is to make this the best place online for free where you can unlock the full potential of LinkedIn, both for lead generation and also brand awareness. It's very much around helping you to do more with your LinkedIn profile with that elevate yourself and get inquiries and leads. I'm a natural lead generator. I like the thing that gets your phone ringing and inbox pinging with hot new inquiries. That's my thing. And so this is the right place if you're looking for that call to action piece. If you're looking for that lead generation piece, that's what we really, really help with here on LinkedIn for Breakfast. So that's our mission here, and we always want to keep it free and make it high value. To support this, we've got this amazing community called LinkedIn for Breakfast in here. And if Flora, could you put the link to LinkedIn for Breakfast in the chat? Because if anybody's not in this wonderful group here, I'm actually going to be referencing a few additional resources and additional support that we're going to be able to help you with your all-star profile creation that is in this group. And if you're not in, then you can't play. So jump on in. It's free. So why not? And it's an awesome place to be able to look at all the replays, all the other stuff that we do in there. Cool. So the tool that we are going to use and talk about today is LinkedIn's social selling index. Why? Because I could just tell you, look, do these three things and your LinkedIn profile will be all-star. But that's just me giving you a rating. Whereas actually we've got a tool that LinkedIn provides that will tell you exactly what it sees your profile live in a live updated data, exactly what it sees your profile and how good it sees it, right? And so it gives us a score, and that score is your social selling index. And so when something like a social media channel, and there's other social media channel that does this, you don't get a link, Facebook, social selling, Facebook kind of community index or whatever it is. You don't get these things on these other social networks. You just get, how many views and reach your post gets, which you do get on LinkedIn as well, right? So, but this gives you an independent score on how you're doing in terms of actually appealing to your target audience. This is why it's important for us to think about it, because if LinkedIn thinks it's important, you should think it's important, right? And so how do you find out what your SSI score is? So let's have a bit of fun, right? It's not a competition, but let's take this. I'll stick this into the chat now. This is the link, and you just go onto this link, and you'll be able, and I'll just work it with you. You will be able, if you're logged into your LinkedIn account, to actually find out what your SSI score is, right? So let's go on to here. I'll go into this. Oh, let me just pause that. That's our live stream going out. Stop. Thank you. And if I just put this into here and Google the SSI score, and hopefully you guys are having a play with this at the same time, it will give you some measurements that look like this, right? And it will tell you where you are in your industry, in your network, and also what your score is out of 100, and these four different elements that we're going to dive into in a second, right? So we get to see where you are in your industry, where you are in terms of your network. So we'll look at your industry. We'll also look at, it also is quite fun to see what your industry is or what it sees your industry as being, right? And then you start to look at how the four components and where that works. And we're going to show you what these four components are, and then where you rank in terms of people in your industry and then people in your network, right? And so this is quite exciting to be able to play with, right? So people in my industry usually rank 34 out of 100. People in my network usually rank 48 out of 100, and I rank 74 out of 100 because I actually am looking at this and I'm trying to improve it. And so if you look at it, what gets measured gets improved, right? You should then elevate yourself to be hopefully in these measurements, right? So I'm just seeing in the chat, and I'd love you guys to just be able to put out what you're seeing in terms of what your score is. So just in the chat, you could be saying something like, so I'll be putting just 74 out like that. There you go. So great stuff. So we've got Fiona's in there and Amira's in there. Oh, Amira, 76. Wow. You are the rock star of the group so far. Let's see. Has anybody got better than 76? James Samuels is 76. Well done. Good stuff. Rob is in there. I love this. It's great, right? So it's just a nice bit of fun, right? And it just allows you to go, well, actually, if I'm say, yeah, 40, 41 or whatever now, well, actually, by the next time I look at this, or maybe I set my target in a few weeks to look at these things that I'm going to give to you today, how can we actually then start to move yourself up that ranking? Why is it important? Well, it just helps you to be able to get better reach. Your posts will do better. You're actual more likely to become a top voice. If you want to get a top voice, you're going to have more trustworthiness in terms of your profile. So really, really interesting to be able to help in terms of that front. Right. So what do all these things mean? All these measurements and stuff mean, right? So let's just scroll out. So first of all, so if we hang on, let's just go back because we can see it, right? So you've got establish your profile. Sorry, establish your personal brand in red. You've got find the right people in purple. You've got engage with insights in some sort of aqua type, whatever that color is, and build relationships in blue. Teal. I'm going to say teal, that color is. Would you agree it's teal? I'm going to say teal. Why not? Lyndon thinks it's teal, so that's all that matters. Right, so there we go. So first of all, establish your personal brand. So we want to complete your profile. So what I'm going to say here, right? On the left where I say in short, it's me basically trying to make it actually English. Underneath it, it's actually LinkedIn's description of it. And I don't think it's very good. I don't think they make it very clear, right? So first of all, establish your personal brand. And LinkedIn say complete your profile with the customer in mind, become a thought leader by publishing meaningful posts, right? So that is quite relatively easy. But essentially, keep your profile interesting for your target audience, right? So when we think about completing your profile and talking to your audience and actually publishing meaningful posts for that audience, really think about who it is that you're trying to target and making sure that you're actually making your profile fit for that audience, right? So you're establishing a personal brand and you're doing it for your right audience. So you are creating yourself as a thought leader within your niche. And so that's super important. And by using the right hashtags on the posts, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you'll start to align yourself to a particular subject. That's why the people who get top voice will get top voice in a topic, because they are talking about that topic for a certain amount of time to therefore become a top voice on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn does like to pigeonhole you into topic categories. And so therefore, when you become a top voice, you're rewarded for that topic category, but it means that people below that are still being rated on their relevance within a topic category. So pick your category, pick your audience, know what you're going to say, right? The second piece is find the right people, right? So identify better prospects in less time using efficient search and research tools, right? So I'm going to show you how to do searching properly through the free version and to be able to help you to be able to find the right people and to you do your right searches. So you're connecting with your target audience. I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later in the presentation. But in short, I've seen if anybody buys premium or uses Sales Navigator, it actually increases your rating on there. So typically, obviously this being a classic kind of LinkedIn way of using its data to also help you to introduce you to paid for tools, that is one of the elements. It's a bit naughty in my opinion, but you are also finding the right people through the basic search. That will also help you as well to actually connect with the right audience. So it's building your personal audience and finding the right people. That's one of the measurements, right? Next thing is engage with insights. Okay. So essentially, what LinkedIn is saying is discover and share conversation worthy updates to create and grow relationships, right? Conversation worthy updates, right? To grow relationships. In short, share and comment on content that is trending. That's where the hashtags are trending, which your audience may be interested in. So, what we're saying here is if there is a conversation happening around your topic, then you could share that on your profile. So sharing other people's content on your profile actually does help because that is you engaging in that conversation, and commenting on that piece of content also is you engaging in that conversation. And so therefore, if you want to produce content around your topic and talk and comment on other people's content around your topic, then that will really help you to engage in those insights and grow your profile and your social selling index with it, right? So it's not just about you just posting your stuff. It's also about seeing other things and sharing that content and being part of that conversation, right? And then finally, build relationships. Okay. So when we're talking about building relationships, LinkedIn is saying strengthen your network by connecting and establishing trust with decision makers, right? So strengthen and establish trust with decision makers, right? So in short, increase the number of target audience members you're connected with, remove the rest. So here's my thesis, right? If you are thinking about your posts, right? So we're saying disconnect. So a lot of people are like, oh, crikey, you want to have a big network. I'm saying, and LinkedIn are telling us, we need to have the right network because if we are, let me just stick this to one side, right? If we are trying to put content out, right? And this is your audience, and say you got 10,000 people as your connections, right? So this is our 10,000 people audience, but actually we've only got 1,000 that are your target audience, and the rest of them are old university friends, people that you worked with in corporate, but now you're doing a small business and you're targeting someone completely different, friends, family, whatever it is, right? You've got this huge network, but only 10% is actually your target audience. You then go and try to create some posts that are topic related. So it's to do with your topic. It's also relevant to your target audience, and you produce that post and you post it on your LinkedIn profile. Now, that's great for the other elements of the social selling index and for the relevancy of your content. But the problem is it's only related to 10% of your actual network. So when LinkedIn tries to put a reach and actually give your post a bit of reach, it's trying to put it out to a section. So maybe it will share it with, say, I don't know, 5% of your audience. But the problem is with 5% of your audience is that actually 5% of your audience is only has 10%. 10% of it is right. Okay. So it's 5% of 10%. So there's only a few people here that are in here that are actually going to see it. And so when you don't, you get one comment basically and one like on it because only 10% is relevant for, and of those 10%, only 5% of that 10% is going to see the post, then you're just not getting enough of a push for that piece of content, right? Because it's just LinkedIn just sees it as, oh, it didn't work very well, so you don't get that further push. Whereas if you flip it over and you make your audience like this, and you only have sort of friends, family as 10%, and you do the complete inflex, and the rest 90% is your target audience. When you post that piece of content that's related to the 90%, you're going to get far more engagements, which means then LinkedIn will see it and go, oh, actually, this is now an engaging piece of content, and it will give it that additional reach to be able to go to the second and third degree connections of the 90%. That's what happens when you see the lifetime of a LinkedIn post. You get the initial boost of your audience, then it will flatten out, and then it will have an extra push, right? And this extra push is LinkedIn's algorithm kicking in because you've had engagement in here. This is why when we do the pods on Tuesday, we're trying to actually make this podding artificially creating this initial hit, which then gives it a bit of time, and then you get this extra wave of reach and engagement. And this is the second and third degree connection type wave, the connections of your connections. Now, if you do this and it's relevant to these people, then LinkedIn's going to see, oh, okay, let's say, for example, it's relevant to, I don't know, marketing agencies, right? So now marketing agencies are liking and sharing this content. So now it's going to push it out to second or third degree connections who are also marketing agencies. So now you're reaching into extra audience with your post because your post has done well with that audience, right? That's what we're saying. And it's going to be so much easier if 90% of your audience are at, and I said 90% arbitrary figure, maybe it's just 50% or whatever, but majority of your audience who you're connected with are the right target audience. Potentially, you should be actually thinking about disconnecting as much as you're connecting. So there you go. So that's some really interesting thoughts to think about there. Cool. So let's go into the second part today in terms of quick wins. So quick wins that will help you to really improve your profile today, right? So first of all, know your audience, right? Now, I think that's hopefully be simple in terms of what I've just demonstrated there. When we start to do a search, think at the top here, you can see here I'm talking about coaches plus UK plus speaker. This is essentially a basic search criteria. So if we go onto LinkedIn here, it's just into here. We're using the kind of Bogean search. I think it's called Bogean. It's something along those lines. And you're just doing this plus this or minus that. So I could be going coach plus UK plus speaker. If I want to, really go hang on, speaker. There you go. So all the people who are coaches in the UK who are speakers, because that's who I'm trying to target, right? For example. And then it's going to show me, if I click here, see all people results. Oh, sorry, it clicked on somebody. So if I go here, so see all people results, it's going to show me the size of my audience. So 1.6 here million people. And then if I click on this first degree, then it's going to show me that I'm connected with 1,300 of them. So this shows me that this is the size of my audience is big. The actual first degree connection that I currently have is this. So am I connected with the majority of my audience? I've got so many more people I could be connected with. My audience is huge in terms of possibility. So just making sure you're getting those searches and knowing who your audience is and actually how to find them. Now, Sales Navigator is brilliant. I do a session on Sales Navigator. It's the replays in the LinkedIn for Breakfast school group. Feel free to watch that, where we can go deeper on that if you want to use Sales Nav. But this is how you do it organically, okay? So here's the low-hanging fruit that you can start to really kind of work with, right? Secondly, write your headline for your audience. So why is this so important? Well, look, this is connection requests that I'm receiving. And so if you are receiving connection requests from people, then what are they using to be able to judge if they want to connect with you? Well, they are using then the headline that sits underneath it. So you can see we've got full stack developer. Pete here's helping creators to effectively market their audio content. And then we've got senior project manager here, right? Those are super important, those headlines. And here's the even more important thing. For people who are using who are doing lots of connection requests, you'll soon see that your ability to do a bespoke note, especially if you're using the free version, you can have like 20 people a month that you're allowed to actually put a bespoke note in, i.e. you see here, they've put an actual note when they're trying to connect, right? Whereas most of the time you just have to connect without even doing that because you run out of the ability to use the bespoke note because you've done over 20 connection requests in the month. And so then you've only got this headline as the calling card for people to be able to do it. So you need to make sure it's important. It's the same here if you're direct messaging people in LinkedIn. You can see here that the first thing that I'm seeing here when I look at it is I can actually see Sarah's headline here, helping leaders in pharma tech industry somewhere we would like our kids to work in, right? Really nice message, right? So it's really important. It's high quality real estate in terms of where it gets seen and used, okay? So here's the formula that we suggest that you use when you're thinking about your headline. You want to look at who and how you help and why they should listen. So from my perspective, it could be helping coaches and consultants and course creators sprint to $1 million in revenue, award-winning, and then why they should listen, award-winning entrepreneur, author, BBC Apprentice finalist, right? So that's the credibility piece. So what you want to do is you make sure it's relevant to your audience and the outreach. Now, I work with more than just coaches and consultants, but if I'm doing a specific outreach campaign, I will probably just tweak that headline because I can be really targeted then to that search. And it's okay to keep on tweaking it and to go very niche with it when you're going to do the outreach, right? Here's one of our clients, Jeremy. And so who and how he helps and why you should listen. So partnering with organizations to create a culture of performance and well-being so they can focus on impacting the world. So it's more corporate. Former 250 UK IT leader. Why they should listen? Because he's going to put his well-being program into IT companies, and so the why he should listen is very relevant to that headline, right? Really, really important. So who and how you help, why they should listen. Okay. Cool. Step three. This is about looking at your about section. So what we want to do is when we talk about the about section, by the way, gang, this is the big piece of content. It's kind of approaching your profile as if it's a sales letter, not a CV. Because most people make the mistake of writing this. See how it's high up. You got this here. That's very high up. That's your headline. This here, well, it's going to happen there, this here, and then slightly further down, you've got the about section. So it's incredibly high up in terms of what people see. And this is the about section in here. So instead of writing this as I worked at this place and I worked at that place like a CV, write this like a sales letter. And we've got a bit of a formula for you that you can use if I find my presentation. And it's got these 5 sections in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to share these 5 sections with you, and then you can actually write yours out here, right? So what I want you to do is actually write this about section. Don't worry about the length of it. Don't worry about the fact you're putting it into titles, because we're going to solve that in a second. But write these sections. So in the first section, am I for you? So the first section lets your readers know who you work with and what you do for them. Make sure you impress them and the results your service ultimately gets, right? So you just want to be able to say, am I for you? So you're hitting them straight away with, this is who I work with. How do you do it? You can give a quick overview of the clients think. You can add a couple of testimonials in to see exactly how your clients see you. You can then talk a little bit about your journey to say, well, the reason why I have these aha moments and these processes is because I did this and this, and this is my experience. And then finally, the all-important next step, which is the call to action. And so really think about, now that you're generating some awareness, they're seeing you, think about moving them into something where it's not jump on a call with me so you can buy my stuff. It's hey, why don't you download this resource? Why don't you come along to this event? Why don't you join this community? So you're helping to move people into somewhere where they can actually spend a bit more time with you. And that's going to be so much easier to get people to take that call to action than if you go, hey, you've spent about 2 seconds reading my about section. Do you want to go buy my stuff? It just isn't. It's not quite, there's not enough of a bridge that's been created in terms of relationship, knowledge, and trust for someone to make that hop. So don't ask them to make that hop. Do a little hop into something where you can continue to build trust. Cool. So that's the call to action on here. Then you need to get it under 350 words. So what I would suggest is you write that without even worrying about the word count, and then use our friend, which Laura Toot has named Charlie Chat, and work it here. Actually, has anybody seen or played with the new Chat GPT-4? It is awesome. So when you go onto Chat GPT, it's probably going to ask you to accept the Chat GPT-4. You can play with it without having to pay for it, and it's bloody good. So anyway, there you go. That's a side note. So in the community, my friends, we've pinned, it's the top here, a share your LinkedIn about sections post in here, and you'll see that at the top of LinkedIn for Breakfast. Again, Flora, if you could just put the LinkedIn for Breakfast link into the chat now, if anybody hasn't got into this group, jump into this group. And below here, we're going to post all of our lovely about sections, and we can also give people some comments and reviews about their about section in there. So a bit of fun for us to come together and actually make some progress after this session. Lovely. Okay. So just a couple of final pieces in here, and then I'm going to take some questions. So step 4, we want to use features and make them the call to action. So a lot of the comments that we had before we started this session was, how do I make this more call to action based? Well, the featured sections are these sections that sit underneath the about section. So again, this is what you can tag and post as being a featured post. The little plus button at the top there allows you to add posts or posts that you previously put out and add them in there. And so what sort of post should you do? Well, think about actually featuring things that create call to action. So from my perspective here, I've got a video here about don't be loopy, do launches, which is basically saying don't do launches, do this instead, which is ultimately like a little small like a video sales letter type thing. Both of these are sort of video sales letters. They basically say, here's a little idea. If you want to know more, then let's have a chat, right? And so they are doing that consideration piece. They are talking about a pain that someone might have, and then they're calling to people to action. So this is a post with a video that does this. This is a post with a video that does this. And then your newsletter, which is LinkedIn newsletter. We do a LinkedIn newsletter session on this. So again, look in the replays of LinkedIn for Breakfast if you want to know a bit more about LinkedIn newsletters. It's free to use. It's my favorite number, which is free. So play about, get a LinkedIn newsletter. You can get them to subscribe. Again, which is a call to action. Again, that's them taking time to actually put their hands up to say, I'm interested. And the beauty of a LinkedIn newsletter, let me just jump onto LinkedIn. I'm going to take a breath in a second, guys, but hopefully this barrage of ideas is going to be landing with a few of you guys. But look at this, right? So when we start to talk about how can we filter people in your audience, I've got a LinkedIn newsletter. Great. I put some stuff out on LinkedIn, you know, like articles you can create for LinkedIn newsletters. But here's the thing that's cool. 2,071 subscribers, right? So that's 2,071 people that put their hand up to say they're interested. And so what can I do? I can go through this and I can try and connect with people who I want to connect with. I can message my first three connections. I've basically created myself a list of potential clients that I can follow up with over time. So again, it's just a different way of getting people to put their hands up. You can do videos like I showed before, which have call to action for them to book a call or to join a group or whatever. You can have a newsletter, which is getting people to subscribe, but those subscribers are also a way that you've generated leads, right? So just see this. These are the call to actions. They don't have to be classic call to actions. They're just getting signals of interest off your audience. And you may well be getting more than you realize. And if you're not following them up, then you're leaving money on the table. Cool. So last slide, and then as I say, take some questions. So step 5, rework your experience into something your audience cares about. So when you think about your work experience, like, you know, I worked at this business, I did this role, etc., you can actually start to make those into small little call to actions and be able to help people even further. So what do I mean by this? You can add videos, you can add content to the to your work experience. You can even add your call to actions into it. So I'm just trying to go back to my profile. You know, let me go back to my profile to do it. Okay, perfect, good. So in experience here, look, I can add LinkedIn for Breakfast. Now, it's not really a company. It's just a free community and an event that we do. But I added it in as a thing because I can actually start to talk to people and actually say what it is and also link to it and put some images out, right? I can also do the same with LinkedIn for Breakfast and other things. I can add videos into here. I can talk about the product, right? Think about your experience and look at it more as a way of people coming through this and going, well, how do I word this in a way that more calls people to action and also promotes the product than just talks about, well, I worked here on this time and this year and I've had this job, etc. Write this again in a way that your audience will actually care about, and you can then potentially get some call to actions off the back of that. Cool. So that, my friends, is how we work a profile in a way that hits your audience, in a way that helps you to generate that next stage of leads and connections. Cool. So I'm just going to ask some questions, but before I do, just want to let you guys know that if you're unsure on exactly how you should be putting that profile together in terms of who am I targeting, what am I doing my lead generation, and actually how can I really start to scale my business. That's the sort of stuff that we talk about when we book one-to-ones with people off the back of this. And we have a product called $1 Million Sprint where we can actually run your LinkedIn campaigns for you. We can fill people into events. We can fill people into sales meetings for you. We basically help to run your marketing for you, right? So it's a bit of done for you. It's also coaching and it's also community. It's an amazing hybrid product. And so if you are interested in learning a little bit more about actually, if you like what you see, how could we actually help you to be able to scale? If you haven't got enough time or you just need to have a little bit more insight on it, then we can certainly help you with that. So it doesn't cost anything to have a quick 10-minute chat. And if I just show you how to book that into here, if you just jump onto our website like this, we have a demo in here. So this is $1 Million Sprint. This is where we help clients to be able to get to $1 million in revenue. We do a lot of it for them. And this is our diary. And you can see we've got a few days open to be able to book into that. So if you are interested in scaling your business and you want people to be able to help you actually do the stuff for you, as well as help you and coach you, then here is the link in there. Jump into there. As I say, they're quick calls. You can jump into a session today, just get a bit of a feel for actually, I really like the idea of this LinkedIn stuff. I really like the idea of this marketing stuff, but I just haven't got enough time, or I just haven't really know where to start. Then let us have a chat with you and just show you how that works. Cool. Into the room then, gang. So questions. I saw some amazing help and support in the chat. So who's got first question? Either stick the old digital hand up like that, and we can take some questions, or if there's some other, aha, perfect. Okay, Richard, straight in. Good stuff, Richard. Over to you, mate.
Well, first of all, Richard, thank you very much indeed. I do career coaching and helping people move from A to B. Forgive me if I miss this piece. I always say to people on LinkedIn, and thank you for going through it because it's your shop window. I always suggest and encourage people to edit their URL, because if you don't edit the URL, what you've got at the end of it is a set of numbers and letters that mean nothing. And the message that sends is negative. You don't care about your brand and you're not up to date with technology. So that would be the first point. The second one, which I welcome your comment on, and the second point on contact details, I completely respect, ladies in particular, privacy. But I would encourage people to have a contact number if you feel comfortable, and certainly a good email address under contact information. Because if I want to contact you, I need to contact you easily. And I'd welcome your comments on URL and contact details. Thank you.
Fantastic. I like that. So let's bring that to life. Thank you, Richard. So what we're talking about in terms of URL, you see here at the LinkedIn, we've got LinkedIn /, and then I've got Richard Woods official in there, which, yeah, basically Richard Woods wasn't available. So that's what you can do. And you can actually edit that URL when you do your edit of your profile. You can actually start to go through and go through these different settings and edit your actual URL if you haven't done already. So that can really help. And of course, when you're sharing your LinkedIn profile, you know, or maybe your email signature, whatever it is, it just looks better. So great shout. Now, contact info here, this is the contact info. And so when you're looking at this, making sure that you're putting the right sort of details in. Now, one of the things that we absolutely love is Linktree. And you see here in Linktree. Now, the beauty of Linktree, and again, it costs my favorite number. So you can create a page like this, which is a set of links, and those set of links actually can push out to more what we call consideration items. So for example, for us, we've got our testimonials, we've got a thesis in there, we've got training that people can watch. It's like free, and we're saying reviews, read, watch, meet us, attend, and people can book in sessions and sales calls off the back of this, because we've created this link tree. So instead of having to do like lots of different links, we can just put that one link. And of course, if people, you know, not quite sure what that is, then we obviously can link to our main website and our email address. Now, in terms of phone numbers, it's entirely down to you. We don't have our phone number on anything because we are always trying to generate inquiries that go into our system. But you may well want to put it, you may not want to put it on. It's just down to the your. For me, it's a company-wide thing that we don't. But for others, they may well want to be able to use it in that way. So just entirely down to how you're approaching that. But thank you, Richard. Totally cool. Really, really thank you and great tips in there. Um, cool. Steve, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Richard, again. Um, this may be something that's relevant for others as well. Hopefully, is. So I run my own business as a coach and a portfolio finance director and non-exec director. Um, I use LinkedIn to promote myself in exactly the way you've described, but also I very much use it as a way of pushing out messages from my clients. So that piece about a tailored audience, for myself personally, my audience is very different to the audience I'm trying to reach on behalf of my clients. So, and because of sort of my employment history, I've got quite a wide sort of set of networks, which obviously my clients quite value. But from a personal point of view, it doesn't kind of work in that. Just wondering whether you had any thoughts as to how you would go about managing that, or just accept it as it is.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because it then comes down to what's the purpose of your LinkedIn profile. So if your purpose of your LinkedIn profile is to connect with a wide business audience so you can then distribute content from different sources on different subjects, then you're almost sort of having kind of almost like a media type outlet style focus, which is get as many people as possible that are business people and then send it out. But again, if you try and be all things to everyone, you're nothing to no one, right? So that's where you want to really reflect and think, can I be something? Should I be something to someone? And actually, what is the real value of my clients seeing me post their stuff out? Is that actually of any value, or should I not be communicating to them? Wouldn't it be better if we started to build your profile and your company profiles, and maybe I can still post content to your company page, so it goes out through your company page, especially if I associate myself with the company page and the company page sends it out? Wouldn't it be better to be doing that? And the value of you actually sending out on your personal profile is not of value to them because you can say because of the reasons why we just mentioned. And so then you go, well, it's my asset, it's for my purpose, and I don't just have these clients, I need to have future clients because these clients might go one day. And so therefore, the LinkedIn profile, in my opinion, should all be about lead generation and it should be a little bit more selfish about it.
I guess, yeah, it's a, I suppose I've probably got some senior level contacts that they don't have. And I guess it's how quickly we can migrate those contacts onto their pages, I guess, is the challenge there. Yeah.
Yeah, or just if that is a thing, then maybe just make a promise to them that you're going to reach out and personally message the article to the 10 or 20 contacts per week as part of your delivery. So instead of putting it out to your entire network because it's not relevant to them, you will individually send it to specific tailored contacts that's ideal for them.
Yeah.
That's actually far better.
Yeah.
So it'd be
That's
like,
good. Yeah.
hi, be like, hi, Dave. I'm currently working with XYZ company, and they just produced a really interesting article. And I thought of you when I saw it and I read it. So I thought I'd just send it to you. Let me know what you think. But it's easy, it's non-salesy, and it's also quite good for you to keep in touch with your network, and it will have a far better ROI than you just distributing basically duplicate content onto your profile. No worries. Cool, gang. Great. Further questions in here. Okay, guys, these are the sort of things that I can really help with when we do this strategy session. And thank you for these questions that are coming in. Just before I take the next question, and I am sticking around for 5-10 minutes further. Do jump on to this, and thank you, by the way, for the people who already booked into this. Here we go. Let's just stick this into the chat one more time in case you haven't got it. And just jump into there just to really have a feel for the type of questions you're seeing, specific questions around your campaigns, where you should be going, and actually, can we help you to do it? So do jump onto them. Great. Like what Mike's saying, marketing 101, make it easy for people to get hold of you. Exactly, right? Further questions, gang. I can scan up through the chat, but if I've missed your question, then please do. Lyndon, perfect. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. It's great talk, Richard. Thank you. Great, really useful. I'm wondering about my profile. I'm wondering about the color of my behind my portrait. Okay. Now, there seem to be lots of different opinions about this, and several people have persuaded me it should be very, very plain. In other words, white with maybe a little color. Now, that kind of goes against my grain because I'm a bit of a color freak. And I'm wondering what the kind of company line is on that. I mean, look, it's very, very plain and kind of rather formal, I think.
I think it's down to what your brand is. For me, because you're using the Japan thing in there, there is a part about that kind of, cherry blossom, very clean, sort of, the sort of, there's something about Japanese culture that is very pastel type colors and tight and clean, and
Yes.
that speaks to that. It's
Does it?
simple, which is actually kind of almost on brand. So it's around actually what is your brand guidelines, and actually does your LinkedIn profile reflect what your brand guidelines are? So you'll see my photo is a picture of me like driving a boat on the Thames, right? And because it's very casual, it's very, there's nothing about it that is like big company corporate like head office and stuff, because that's not me. I'm all about, I'm kind of similar to you. You've got the anti 9 to 5 type mantra. I'm probably similar, which is just growing small businesses and doing what you love, right? And so that's where I come out, and mine's very kind of informal from that point of view. And so if this feels like you, I feel really good about it. If you're questioning it and go, well, actually, me, I am more this, like the background that you got behind you, which could be more like a collage of what does anti 9 to 5 mean, then stick that on. I think it's all around actually, does it reflect you, and does it reflect the type of work that you do? So a lot of people will do lots of clever headlines in there. If you actually really look at what mine is, as I say, it's a casual photo of me, and then it's me doing my work with my community, which is, this is us at one of our $1 Million Sprint meetups. This is people with my latest book. So it reflects the fact I've got a coaching business, I've got a book, and also I'm not taking myself too seriously. And here I am on a boat, right? That's me. And I feel like visually that I feel really comfortable with that. And that's just, how I feel about it. So sometimes you don't have to make these clever LinkedIn headers to actually articulate the thing that you want to articulate about your personality. And images do count for 1,000 words. And the vibe of that feels far better from my perspective than maybe some sort of clever graphic designed headline with my telephone number. A lot of people put like their telephone number and their website address. I noticed you had a website address in it as well. Like, like if people want to find the website address, there is a contact info thing here, right? So I think that's the best place to build personality in your profile. That, and of course the featured sections in here. And also this services are quite important. They've only recently started to launch this, so you can put services up on here, and then you can get some images around the services that you offer. And actually, when you go onto this, those services actually have pages, and you can actually get reviews about your particular service, and you can actually add keywords, you can add media to it. They're just starting to build this out a little bit more. So it's quite new. So it does have when anybody does anything new on LinkedIn, it gives higher provenance to those things. So those audio conversations that you see popping up and people joining, it's new, so it has a great reach. Services is new for the profile, it's having a higher provenance, even higher than the featured section. So that is an important section. Actually, I should have made a bit more of a bigger deal on that earlier in my presentation.
Yes.
So that's something to really think about.
Oh, great. And in terms of the portrait photograph, I mean, I've been on LinkedIn for a long time, but I'm only just really beginning to get to grips with it, with your help and so on. Do you think it should be very formal if you've got a kind of academic background? See, I come from the academic side, and
but
I'm
you're now falling into that, wanting to make your LinkedIn profile like a CV. And remember, the whole mantra of this presentation is make it so it appeals to your target audience. And so what does your target audience want to see? Do they want to see Lyndon the academic, or do they want to see you as the anti 9 to 5?
right.
And so as the anti 9 to 5, what type of profile picture should you have?
That's perfect, Richard. I can see I've got to scrap that. Thank you. Thank you.
It's just all, you just check yourself. Am I coming across in the right way to the right audience? And does this reflect who I am now trying to target? And therefore, I don't, using the words who I am trying to be is actually not right, because I don't want anybody to try and be someone that they're not. But you just need to be aware of the you that needs to show up is, and actually continue to show up as that you, not an old you from corporate life or whatever, you know.
Yeah. And
Cool.
this is so key, isn't it? But it's very difficult when you're at the beginning of something. I'm right at the beginning, and so to be honest, I don't really know what my image is yet at all. You know, I don't really know what my audience is either. So,
Well, it all starts with audience.
Punching in the dark.
That's the thing. No, so whenever we're trying to do something like this, you are always thinking about who am I trying to target and what am I trying to sell them? Okay. So when we know, right, I want to work with people that are kind of, on the I don't know. I'm going to use an example of, I want to target business coaches and I want to be able to help them to be able to scale their businesses, right? So from my perspective, say I want to work with service sector entrepreneurs who want to get to $1 million in revenue, right? That's what I do. So what does that mean? Well, I need to show them that I've done that twice, so I'm a good safe pair of hands to be able to help them to do it, because I've already done it twice. And so therefore I need to articulate a little bit of, this is my journey, this is how I show up. And also, I need to be able to talk to their language, because if they are service sector entrepreneurs, then they are business owners, and therefore business owners are going through the same strife and troubles we're all going through. So that's how I can show up. So from your perspective, your background speaks loads about what you're trying to do, because that's what you're choosing there, and you're showing up, and it's actually interesting. And we're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, right? This is the anti-95, this is the income plan. Okay, so there's something about getting out a 9 to 5 income plan, and look behind, you're doing amazing things around the world. Awesome, right? That says so much more about you than your LinkedIn profile does.
Right, I agree. Okay, great. I'm going to change everything.
Just
Thank
polish.
you.
Like, the whole point is we're not ripping up copybooks here, guys. We're just polishing, tweaking, improving as we go. That's the beauty of this, right? So we want to tweak and improve as we go. And when we're ready, then we can put the after thrusters on and start to scale quickly.
Super. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Great. So Sarah, go for it. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Richard, for that. That was awesome, as always. I just wanted to talk. I know somebody asked the question in the chat actually about verification. So I just wondered what implications there is with that, because as female, lots of people I know have complicated surnames. So, for example, I have a surname on my passport which is different to my one on LinkedIn because of children and people getting divorced. You know what I mean? It's just really complicated. Lots of professionals keep their maiden name. They don't use their married. It's complicated. So, in fact, I might write a post about this on LinkedIn.
Please do.
It's a real issue. It's a real issue for women, senior women in particular. And so I don't really want to. It's complicated unless I get my name changed by default to get it on my. It's a pain.
And you're never going to do it for your LinkedIn. It's an absolute pee take, to be honest with you.
It is, and it's not discriminatory. Well, it kind of is really, do you mean gender diversity, etc.? It's more of an issue for women.
It's
I think.
huge. And also it's the problem is that they're actually now putting weight on it. So if it's a case of verified, not verified, great. But they're now saying profiles who are verified go 60% further than profiles that aren't. That's an absolute pee take, especially if the algorithm's doing that. I think hopefully that data's come from the fact that on average the profiles that do verify are profiles that are more active, and actually therefore there is 6% more reach. I'm hoping it's from there because I'm hoping it's not an algorithmic change. Why? Because I can't bloody get mine verified either, and that's just because my passport doesn't work. Right? I've got my profile, my passport updates in 2 years' time. It's got a chip in it, but my suspicion is that it's got knackered over the last few years. And I keep on bloody doing the scanning thing with the phone, and it doesn't work. It just does not work. And so it's really simple for me because I haven't changed my name. But I couldn't, I'd be tearing my hair out if I was in a position where not only does my passport not work, but it's not the right name and all the rest of it. I mean,
no, it's okay. Thank you for that. I'm going to write my post because I wrote a Mr. or Miss, you know what I mean? Name's quite important, and you can't find a non-exec director. And so it's an issue. So I'm going to write a post about it. So, and the girls, I had a discussion. I'm a member of the Girls Club, which is a group for senior female leaders. And there was the WhatsApp chat. Honestly, there were so many comments around this because it is a big issue. So thank you.
It definitely is. And so, I love stuff like that. And actually, the more of us that speak to it, hopefully, the more it will be. So what I would do when you're trying to create a piece of content like that, look at what the hashtags are currently saying and look what the current conversation is, and then find the keywords and the hashtags to be able to make sure you weave that in. So go and unleash fire on the content, but make sure you optimize it for the algorithm to be able to make sure it gets the most distribution, and then include it in the pod. And I'm happy because when we pod in the LinkedIn for Breakfast group, we all ask for people to just do it on Tuesday at lunchtime UK time, because otherwise the group just get bombed with different pieces of content. But in this instance, because it's important, we're saying, so if you produce that and post it in the group, Flora, if we can make sure when we see Sarah post that, if we can pin it to the top of the group, and then we can all give a bit of share and comment on that post because it's important, we can make it go further on LinkedIn for you. So spend some good time, make sure it's got the right hashtags, maybe wait, spend some time on it. And then when it's ready, then we'll all kind of give you a bit of LinkedIn for Breakfast love.
Thank you for that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well,
My accountability now.
Yes, well, there you go. Now you've got to do it. You've got to do it for the rest of us, right? Get that post out there. Okay, I'm going to close today. Thank you all for being fantastic sports and being part of this wonderful community. Again, I've just jumped the final link in the chat in case anybody wants to jump onto one of those strategy sessions. Just click the link, so when we close the meeting, it's up there on your screen. But in the meantime, if I don't see you on one of those calls, then I'll see you next Wednesday, 9 o'clock UK time. For another episode of Marketing Madness at LinkedIn for Breakfast. Big love. Take